Hey there, my fellow intellectuals. How are you doing tonight? Welcome back to Highly Variable. I'm your host, Kyle Kipisatis, and we are back with the ninth installment of Highly Variable, taking place almost 6 months since the last time I did the eighth episode of this podcast. And if you're wondering why the heck I haven't been doing podcast episodes, especially because I've had 4 months of quarantine to do them, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I haven't been doing them because I've sort of gotten this feeling where I feel like this genre of podcasting, just me talking into the microphone and just expressing my thoughts into the void of the internet, I don't know how much of an appeal there is for that. And it's partially because I don't get a lot of feedback on the podcast at all, really. Like, I think some people watch it and some people have told me nice things, but I generally don't get a lot of comments on either the YouTube videos or the podcast or the reviews on like the Apple Store or Spotify or something like that. So mainly the feedback has been one of the bigger deterrents. And I made this podcast with the intent of me being able to just talk about whatever I want, whenever I want. And I kind of had this feeling after a few amount of episodes that I felt like, who the heck cares what I could think? you know? I was just like, well, I'm just some guy on the internet talking about stuff. I mean, I like to think I'm a fairly interesting person, but, I feel like it'd be hard for someone to convince me to just listen to someone I don't really know that well talk about whatever they want for half an hour. Because, like, I try to put myself in your guys' shoes, right? And, while there are some people who I really appreciate you guys taking the time to watch my stuff, I sometimes think to myself, I mean, what am I doing, right? Like, what is the appeal? you know so in that sense, I've been sort of a bit timid and a bit hesitant to make more of these because I just literally talk about whatever I want, and I feel like in some ways that can alienate some people if they don't have that shared interest. But in some respects, obviously I can't please everybody. That's sort of a given, right? I think for me, one of the biggest problems I had growing up was always trying to make people happy and pleased. And I was a big people pleaser growing up. And I think that really affected me in negative ways because it's like I would try and make others feel comfortable, even if I wasn't always comfortable. And, and comfortable in the sense that I wasn't always being my true self in a way. And I feel like the podcast, in my original plan for it, was a way for me to be genuine and be myself and just be able to talk about whatever comes to my mind. And again, I still have that sort of like that fear of like, oh, who cares what I think? Like who would want to listen to me? I mean, I'm such a weird person, and I mean, if you don't like listening to it, you don't have to listen to it. That's the thing. And I say that, but at the same time, it's like I want to know if these podcasts are actually positively impacting anyone other than myself, because in some ways it does help me sort of think about my thoughts out in the open and getting things out where I can think about them a little bit more clearly, because sometimes you have thoughts that are just pent up in your head and you don't really see how ridiculous they are or even question their existence or their I don't know, their intent, I suppose, unless you sort of lay them out for everyone to see. And then it's sort of like, oh, well, that kind of looks weird from an outside perspective. So in some sense, that helps me out. In another sense, I feel like it's a weird thing for you guys to just have to hear. I don't know. Like, if you guys like it, I'd love to know, but I'm not going to force you guys to comment or anything. I just find it strange sometimes when when I'm making these, I sometimes get in my head and I'm like, what am I talking about? Like, who cares about this thing, Kyle? Obviously I do, but again, I still have that feeling of, oh, what do other people think? And I think that's the thing. I think we're all in some ways, maybe, people in different degrees, right? Some people feel this more than others, but I think in some ways people have the, what will other people think? And I think if you're a content creator on YouTube, obviously I'm not a big one. I just recently hit about 1,100 subscribers, which thank you guys for subscribing, by the way. That was really nice to see the growth of 100 subscribers in about like a month. That was great. So thank you for that. But I think people who do a lot of content creation, particularly in YouTube, and there's always a lot of talk about the YouTube algorithm and what people want to see, especially for the big people on YouTube who make this their career. I think they definitely have to be more in tune with what their audience wants, and how can they sustain a high level of viewership and watch time with their audience, because that's how they make their money and that's how they put food on the table. So I totally understand in that regard. But for someone like me who doesn't do that for a living, right? I have a job. I have being a graduate student. I have a career in mind of becoming a professor of astrophysics at a really good university one day, and I don't think that will ever change. I don't think being a content creator on the internet will ever supersede that priority of mine. I think that will always be my number one priority until I say otherwise, until I change my mind or I just eventually do it. But I don't know if I'll ever want to become a full-time. No, I don't want to say I don't think. I definitely don't want to become like a full-time like content creator on the internet. It does seem cool. There was some appeal, and I do think it's kind of interesting to have that kind of control over your career and pretty much take your brand and personalize it and develop a fan base and build upon it. I think that's really cool. But in some aspects, I feel like it could be really stressful. I'm sure it is very stressful. And I think that it's not the thing that I would want to do for my entire life, if that makes sense. I think content creation will always be a side hobby of mine for my life. I would like to keep making videos. I'd like to keep making podcast episodes and skits and streaming on Twitch and other things like that, because those are all things that I think I find interesting and are parts of me, right? But I don't think they can ever become the primary focus of my life. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that I can have balance and I can have a main career or a main priority in my life that isn't this stuff. Not to say I don't like doing this stuff. I do like doing this stuff. Obviously, I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't like it. But I'm getting in my head again, and I think the fear about this podcast episode, or making this podcast episode, I should say, was just, me wanting to talk about something interesting and couldn't think of anything of interest that you guys would find interesting. And I think I just have to be more just like, look, do you, man. And like I tell people that all the time, do you, do what you like. This is your platform, this is your channel, this is your whatever social media platform. Use it to how you want to use it, as long as it's not, harming anyone else or infringing upon anyone else. Do your thing. And I think I just gotta take my own advice more. I think it's just the nagging thought, and I think I just need to shake it. Because it's not something that I do, again, that often, obviously, because this is like the first episode in 6 months or something. But it's almost as if like I'm getting like gravitationally pulled or electromagnetically pulled towards this other possible career, right? This other possible avenue of doing YouTube or doing social media in general, combining YouTube with like Twitch and Twitter and Instagram, whatever. I think there's that pull, and then I'm starting to think like, oh, okay, what does my audience want? My audience wants to see this. They want they want more of this. They want less of that. And I think as soon as they get too deep into that train of thought, it's like I'm already sort of lost in that regard. Like it's almost like I'm someone who kind of, I don't like to say it like that, but like I feel like I have like an addictive personality in some regards, where like if I get hooked on something, I just want to like see it through, or I want to see a plan all the way to the end. And it's like, it's kind of dangerous in some regards, because sometimes it's like, oh, I really want to read this book, and I get really into this book and I waste like a whole day not doing anything else but like reading this book, but I really like the book. And I feel like in some regards that can be very negative. I know in some regards it can be good to give yourself some of that pleasure to indulge yourself in your interests, but in some other regards it can be very detrimental to your priorities that you have in your life. And I feel like I can't let those thoughts of constantly thinking about, YouTube algorithm or whatever take over my life, because obviously my priority right now is to finish off this research project I've been doing for over 2 years now on black holes, and finally write the paper, publish it, and move on to the next project, which I already have an idea of what it's going to be. So, I got my work cut out for me. And I hope you guys understand. I mean, I've been ranting, I guess, maybe for the past 10 minutes or so, but I just think I need to be very clear as to my true intent of being on the internet. I think my true intent is to be a person who can provide some insight towards an academic career, particularly in physics and astronomy, or astrophysics, however you want to call it. I think also, in some regards, my role is to be a sort of role model, or show that someone like myself, who comes from my background, which I'm Filipino American, can pursue this path and be successful at it, or hopefully be successful at it, because I'm not at the end. But showing that there is some representation is important in some regards, because I feel like there are a lot of people who come from Filipino American backgrounds, who don't ever really think about doing physics, or think that it's even a career. I mean, I definitely didn't think about that when I was a kid, even up until I went to high school, and then even in college, like I still didn't think that was a real viable career path for me. And I'm really lucky that I found it, because I really love it, and I think that it's important to show young kids, especially young kids who come from diverse backgrounds, that don't necessarily have the historical footing in, I guess, physics or these other hard sciences, to show them that yes, you can do it, and you can succeed, and you can have a good career out of it, and you can have fun. You can have fun while doing it. I think that's sort of my role. But nowhere in that role, I think, is being a YouTuber. I don't ever want to be thought of as a YouTuber. And I'm not trying to hate on YouTubers. Like, I'm not trying to say like being a YouTuber is a bad thing. I just don't want that for myself. I don't want to be like, yeah, I was known for being a YouTuber. I'd like to be known for, being an influential academic, as in writing very influential papers, making good discoveries, and being known that I also make YouTube videos on the side. I think that's what I would rather be known for, because that's really what I'm trying to do. So I hope that doesn't disappoint anybody. I hope no one was betting on me becoming a full-time YouTuber and just living off my YouTube money, because I currently make none. So I definitely can't do that. So yeah, I hope you guys understand. I hope you guys still will keep supporting the channel in whatever way you feel comfortable with, because I really appreciate it. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to watch my stuff, especially a channel like mine, where I obviously don't have the time to make my videos as professional as professional YouTubers do, obviously. But I think in some ways it's because I'm the person who has to record, I'm the person who has to script it, I'm the person who has to edit it, I'm the person who has to make the thumbnail, I'm the person who has to upload it, write the description. I do everything, right? Like, it's not like I'm hiring anyone to do this stuff for me, right? I do everything essentially for my channel, and I really like doing it, but it does take a lot of time. And I see why YouTubers who are big, I see why they hire editors. I see why they hire people to actually actively run their channel and take care of just tasks that the YouTubers themselves just don't want to have to take care of anymore. It makes sense. So in that regard, I just feel like it takes up a lot of time and effort, which is not a bad thing, but it's just that I can't ever let it take too much time and effort that detracts me from my main priority of being a graduate student. That's the important thing I think people need to understand. So yeah, other than that, I think it's been a very fun experience. I'm just really grateful for you guys helping me get to currently of this video about 1,100 subscribers. That's insane. I didn't think I would get there. Um, I mean, obviously I thought I would grow, but I couldn't imagine a number like that. Um, and it's weird because I was starting to make these kinds of videos about um uh wow, I guess almost 2 years ago now. Like we're almost at the 2 year mark, I think, when I started making videos more regularly, if I'm not mistaken. Um because it wasn't last summer, it was the summer before that. Because I started making videos after my um well, actually even before my surgery, but yeah, I during my leg injury, that's when I was making videos because I had just more time on my hands to just shoot stuff because I was just in my apartment all the time. So wow, we've been here for almost 2 years. It's crazy. I'm kind of proud. Whoa, I'm kind of proud in that regard because it's like I. It's like when you start the YouTube channel, at least when I did, it kind of felt like, dang, views aren't going to be coming that fast, and people, are going to be struggling to find me because I'm so small and I make such sort of niche kind of videos like physics career related videos, physics videos, academic videos, which I think has, it has a specific audience it targets, but I don't think it's something that's widely searched on YouTube, if you know what I mean. Um, so I think the struggle in the beginning was definitely convincing myself to just keep going and convince myself that there will be a payoff in this and that people will find it and people will appreciate it. And I've read some of your comments and I really, really feel great reading some of your comments. I really, really love reading what you have to say and sharing your experiences with physics and talking about your guys' career plans and how how my videos have helped you guys. I really love reading that stuff. It warms my heart. Really, it does. So I think that's one reason why I keep doing it, because I do feel that people gain some benefit from it, and I'm really, really happy that you guys do. So yeah, well, those are essentially my thoughts for the night. It's about midnight right now. It's gonna be July 31st, and I have to get some sleep soon because I have a group meeting tomorrow for my research project. So I think I'm going to end the podcast here, but I just wanted to say again, thank you guys so much for listening. I appreciate it. You just sit here and listen to me talk about whatever into the void, and you get something out of it if you watch it. And I can't tell you what that is. It's all subjective to you, but I definitely appreciate you guys taking the time. So hope you all have a good day or night whenever you listen to this. I hope you will keep watching my videos. I hope you'll keep supporting the channel in whatever way you feel comfortable. And with that, I will wish you guys a good night from my perspective. So have a good one, y'all. Stay tuned for future videos.